Now, the Alabama fan base still looking like we're not sold on the coordinators. We're just not sold on Bill O'Brien and Pete Golding. We're just not. We're not sold on Bill O'Brien. We're not sold on Pete Golding. The scheme is not what it needs to be. The strategy is not what it needs to be. The dominance is not where it needs to be. The elite level of playing winning football is not where it needs to be. And it's been going on now for its second year with both of these two together here at the University of Alabama. And just breaking these two down one at a time here, starting this thing off with Bill O'Brien. You have to ask yourself the question, is OB wasting Bryce Young? Is Bill O'Brien wasting the best quarterback to ever come through this program? Because people talk about, for the first time, normally Bama has all the weapons around the quarterback, just not the elite level quarterback, and now it's the other way around. Bama finally has the quarterback it's always wanted, but the playmakers don't necessarily match the quarterback. I disagree with that statement because of the fact that, yes, Jermaine Burton may not be an elite level speedster, but he's got talent. I mean, Trayshawn Holden may not be an elite level speedster, but he's got size, he's got physicality, he's got talent. I mean, Kobe Prentice runs a 4.3 40. He's got speed. Isaiah Bonds got speed. Kendrick Law, Aaron Anderson, though he's hurt, Shaz Preston, all these guys have got talent. Cameron Latu is highly talented. You got talent all over this roster in terms of guys around the quarterback. It's the play calling in question is not putting these guys in situations where they can confidently be successful. And I go back and I say this. Steve Sarkisian had Quinn Ewers last week. He had Quinn Ewers looking more of a Heisman contender than what Bill O'Brien had Bryce Young. You give Bryce Young Steve Sarkisian. Bryce Young puts up some insane numbers. Bama drops 60 plus on Texas if this is Steve Sarkisian as the offensive coordinator. And I'm just calling a spade a spade. With Steve Sarkisian, this Alabama offense is a full-blown Maserati. Versus with Bill O'Brien, this Alabama offense is a 2001 Honda Civic. And I'm not putting down Hondas, like they're good cars. But there's a complete difference between a full-blown Maserati and a Honda Civic. There's a complete difference right there. And just to me here, you look at, Alabama, guys like, Blake Sims, Jacob Coker, Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones, they had success because of Steve Sarkisian, because of Lane Kiffin, right? They had success because of those guys scripting well, scheming well, game playing well, game calling well, because they're well organized, well detailed, well thought out, well processed. You won those matchups. Those guys at quarterback were successful because of Sarkisian, because of Lane Kiffin. We did this because of what you added to what was already there. Versus Bill O'Brien, Bryce Young won the Heisman in spite of Bill O'Brien. That's two different things. That's two different sets of context. Bryce Young won the Heisman in spite of Bill O'Brien. Bryce Young got Alabama to an SEC championship in spite of Bill O'Brien. That means even through your deficiencies, we still were able to get to what we wanted to get to and nearly won a national championship. So for Bill O'Brien, and fans have been waiting for more screens to the tight ends, screens to the running backs, screens to the wide receivers, jet sweeps, pop passes, little things to get the guys working in space, and that's not been happening with Bill O'Brien as the offensive coordinator. So you have to wonder, is he wasting the best quarterback of the Nick Saban era at Alabama? It's definitely a question. You definitely got to ask that question here when you look at what we've seen with the Lane Kiffins, what we've seen with the Steve Sarkisians, and now with Bill O'Brien. You have to ask that question. Is the best quarterback of the Nick Saban era getting absolutely wasted by OB here? Now, when you look at Pete Golding here, he not elite. He's not a Kirby Smart. He's not a Jeremy Pruitt. And, his fifth season, very interesting. We saw in the offseason, Pete Golding hit with the DUI and, of course, was remorseful for it, was apologetic for it. That's swept under the rug. That's letting bygones be bygones there. But against Texas, the defense didn't have its greatest performance either. 15 penalties, that was awful. Defensive backs got burned left, right, up the middle, down the hallway. Defense got absolutely torched. And then, behind Will Anderson and Dallas Turner, nobody could finish the play. And half the time, the guys look lost out there on the field. But the one good thing in all of this that you could say about Pete Golding would be he gave up one touchdown to Steve Sarkisian. Should have been two because Xavier Worthy dropped a for sure touchdown off the arm of Quinn Ewers, but he dropped the touchdown, so you can't count that one. So Pete Golding gave up one touchdown to Steve Sarkisian. Rarely do I watch the Feinbaum show, but it happened, John, yesterday where there was a caller who called into the Feinbaum show just ripping O'Brien and Pete Golding, calling them the worst coordinators in the history of Alabama under Coach Saban. And then he went in on Pete Golding. This caller went absolutely in on Coach Golding to the point where Pete's dad, Mr. Skip Golding, has to call in. And Skip went in and ripping the caller, and it was a mess. It was an absolute mess, and wow. I mean, wow. It just went in there on the caller, did Pete's pops there. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. So Pete Golding, defense didn't look its absolute best against Texas. Guys look lost out there at times on the field. 15 penalties. You couldn't get pressure to Quinn Ewers. Defensive backs were getting burnt like toast out there without the jam. It was rough. It was rough. But at the least, in terms of Golding, only gave up one touchdown. So, for you as fans, it's almost like taking the lesser of two evils here. You can't stand both. In a perfect world, you would like to have both gone. But if you had to take the lesser of two evils, if you had to do it, if you were stuck on an island, right, and you had to take Pete Golding or Bill O'Brien with you, which one would you take? If you were stuck on the Bermuda Triangle and you had to take one of these two with you, would you take Pete Golding or would you take Bill O'Brien? To me, I would have to take Petey. I would just have to take Petey because O'Brien, nah. O'Brien, I really hope Nebraska ain't playing around and they're really considering Bill O'Brien. I really hope Nebraska ain't playing around because we saw last offseason where, folks were like, I want O'Brien. We'll take him. We'll give him a little visit. And nobody in the NFL or college football wanted any parts of Bill O'Brien. And I could see where that would be something. But the lesser of two evils, which would you take? And even with these two, could you still see Alabama cleaning the stuff up that happened against Texas?